The tap. Back to Davis. Anthony Collins will walk it up. And the feed goes over to House. A very quiet 5-point regulation day. Down to the baseline goes Jones, and he drives and scores, and the Aggies take the overtime lead. Ulis with a high pick by Humphries. Now backs off, gives it over to Murray. Straight on, open look at a three. He drops that down, and you give that to Murray only when you've had some kind of defensive mistake, and he gives the Wildcats the lead, 71-70.
Well, Murray freed himself up by setting a great back screen for Marcus Lee.
Caruso over to House. They'll work on the left wing into the hands of Collins. Jones offering a pick. Ball up high, post right to Davis. Dumps it down to the baseline to Caruso. Cut off by Lee. Backs out. Alley-oops inside for Jones, and a whistle called as they were trying to throw it over Ulis to Jones. And they're going to call Tyler Ulis for backing up into Jalen Jones, trying to keep him away from the alley-oop, and Ulis called for his second foul. Jones will be on the line. 1 of 2 in regulation at the line, and this one is in and out. Poor free throw shooting continues to haunt Texas A&M now. 9 of 18. They're 66% for the year. Not great, but not this bad. One more to tie it. And Jones misses this one in and out, and it's rebounded by Humphries. And it's still Kentucky 71-70. 3:50 in overtime. Ulis holds up his hands. Once everybody spread out. 2 up high, 2 down low, and Lee sets a pick for him as he goes to the right wing. Gives up high, now to Murray between the circles. Murray drives, spins against Caruso. Off balance shot, no good. Foul called on Caruso, who thought he had made maybe a block shot or at least a deflected pass. It was really hard to see what that ended up being for Murray, but it ends up being Caruso's second foul. Murray misses the front end. Tonight's broadcast of NCAA basketball on Westwood One intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Learfield and Westwood One is strictly prohibited. Murray was 4 for 4. This the first of 2 here. Second free throw, perfect. And it's Kentucky by 2, 72-70. 3.5 minutes to go in overtime in College Station. Backcourt pressure applied by Ulis. Now he'll back off as Anthony Collins works it across the timeline and goes over to House, left quarter court. Into the corner to Jones. Fires up a 3. It's short this time. Davis trying to tip it in. Captured by Humphries. The 7-footer would not be denied this time on the defensive glass. And Kentucky ball up 2. Briscoe will run the play. Everybody else strung out along the baseline. 1-4 look for the Cats. Briscoe with a high pick by Lee. Gives it up for Murray. Drives around Caruso. Pull up. Foul line jumper. Back rim. No. Tip. No by Lee. Rebound taken down by Daniel House. And A&M ball down to 2:50 in OT. House quickly the other way. Bounce underneath goes to Jones. One hand Baker. Good off the glass. And he's fouled. And he may have just fouled Lee out of the game. He did. So Calipari will use maximum time with the Lee foul out before getting Dominique Hawkins up off the bench to replace him. So they'll go with a small group with the 7-footer Humphries. As Jalen Jones will go back to the line to try and complete a 3-point play. He is 1 for 4 at the line today. Normally, much better, 76% for the year. And this to untie it with 2:46 at OT. 72 all as he fouls Marcus Lee out of the game with 8 points and 5 rebounds. And this time the free throw good for Jones. A&M by 1. 73-72 in overtime at Reed Arena.
Look for more of the same. Tyler Ulis making decisions with the ball.
Briscoe gives on the left wing for Murray, and now Ulis with Collins sagging defensively. Feed into the near corner for Murray. 3. It is no good. Rebounded by Jones. Aggies with the ball on a 1-point lead. Collins stops the dribble, feeds Caruso, right wing, takes it baseline, and his pass stolen by Hawkins. I think he was trying to get it inside to Davis. Good turnover. Dominique Hawkins takes it And we approach 2 minutes to go in overtime. Kentucky ball down one, 73-72. Eulis with a pick high from Humphreys. Backs off, wants to drive on Collins, hands it over to Briscoe. Into the circle he goes, fires and misses wide. Rebound Humphreys, and tied up or blocked or fouled as he tries the follow shot. They're going to call it a foul on Alex Caruso. That's his third. Follow shot was definitely blocked, but not by Caruso. Double bonus both ways. Isaac Humphreys, 69% on the year from the foul line on 9 of 13. Hasn't spent much time there, and the first one goes. It went back rim and dropped in.
Safe to say this isn't a position he's been put in a lot throughout his career, but
boy, he coolly drills both free throws, and the Wildcats take the lead, 74-73. With 1:45 in overtime. Collins works it over to Manuel House with a high pick by Davis. Humphrey switches over on House. He's going to drive him, leans inside for a scoop, and draws the foul. And on Humphreys, that is his fourth. So the Wildcats have already lost Marcus Lee. Briscoe joined by Humphreys with 4.
Good recognition by House there. Gets the switch after a high pick and roll. I think Humphreys, lumbering 7-footer from Australia, is not going to be able to keep him in front. Attack him off the bounce. See if you can't put some foul pressure on and get in the line.
House hits the first free throw he's taken today. 68% for the year. Visit Masters.com, the tournament's official website, April 4th through the 10th for complete tournament coverage, including real-time scoring and live full-screen HD video all week long. Masters.com, your online source for the 2016 Masters. House hits both ends. A&M back in front by 1, 75-74. As the crowd rises in unison at Reed Arena inside 1.5 minutes in overtime, it's Briscoe running from the point. Over to the right side, feed over to Eulis. Foul line extended. They'll bounce it to Murray, guarded by Caruso. Shot clock at 10. Murray back to Eulis. One-on-one with Collins. Drives him, pulls up, one-hand floater in the lane, and he rattles it in. Back and forth we go. Wildcats 76-75. 1 minute to go in OT. Their next to last timeout. With our score, Kentucky 76, Texas A&M 75. You're listening to NCAA basketball on Westwood One. Jalen Jones leading both teams with 24 points. 4 within his career high. 22 by Eulis, 21 by Murray to lead the Wildcats, but Derek Willis had to be helped off the floor late in the second half with only 3 points. His only shot was the one at the first half buzzer to give the Wildcats the halftime lead. We've got no word from their bench, but it looked like a foot or an ankle or something. He had to be helped off, and we have not seen him since. So it'll be Aggie ball inbounding across to the far sideline. Again, 1 minute remaining in overtime. They trail number 14 Kentucky. Humphreys has 11 huge rebounds off the bench today. So Kentucky works the shot clock down to 7. A pull-up shot by Eulis is blocked by Collins, and it goes out of bounds with 4 seconds on the shot clock and 23.4 in the game clock. And we'll get a timeout called by John Calipari. And that will leave both teams with 1. 23.4 in overtime, 4 on the shot clock. Kentucky trying to add to a 76-75 overtime lead, and Billy Kennedy's going to go to a man who's been sitting a long time. Tony Crosha Morelos for this defensive sequence coming up. Only big on the floor for the Wildcats is the 7-foot freshman from Australia, Humphreys. They inbound it. It's Murray driving into the lane past Caruso. One-hander no good at the shot clock. Buzzer rebounded by Jones. A&M ball down 1. 15 seconds in overtime as Collins tries to drop a pass underneath. It's stolen by Humphreys, and a foul with 9.4 seconds on Crosha Morelos. Now the officials may disagree and change this call. We'll see. Humphreys all of a sudden looks very disappointed. after the original call against Trosha Morelos. And now it is going to be the 5th on Humphreys. Wow, that looked like the stop of the day for Kentucky. And a foul on Trosha Morelos. And instead, well, the first signal was foul on 1-0. And then all of a sudden you look back down there and Humphreys looks up to the sky as if he's just gotten bad news. And in fact, he had, because they decided instead that the foul was on him and he didn't have any to play with. So Billy Kennedy wanting obviously as much time as possible. There's 9.4 on the clock, and one official is talking to the A&M staff. The other two are talking to John Calipari and a couple of his assistants. With Kentucky leading here in the overtime period, 76-75. What are you thinking comes out of both huddles here, Dan? Well, now all three officials are huddling. There's still some sorting out going on here. Pat Adams, Anthony Jordan, and Jerry Pollard. The 5th foul on Humphreys costing Kentucky their very effective big body off the bench. He leads with 6 points and a game-high 12 rebounds. And they'd already lost Marcus Lee to fouls. So that would normally mean you're going to see Skal Labissiere here. They're also looking like they're going to check in Charles Matthews. Again, this with 9.4 seconds in overtime. And it's been it seems like a solid 5 minutes of the officials talking amongst themselves and then going over to talk to the A&M bench, and now they're over talking to the Wildcat bench. Well, there has been a technical foul called on Humphreys for throwing the ball away after that play, and so that becomes his 5th foul. Wow, and House at the line, and the first free throw is good, and it's 76 all. Wow. Second free throw, lane cleared, also good, and he gives the Aggies the lead. So Humphreys fouls out on a technical and replaced by Skal Labissiere.
And because Humphreys fouled out, he's no longer able to shoot his free throws. Therefore, Labissiere is at the line for him.
First free throw good. And right back tied now at 77. Well, the foul was originally on Trosha Morelos. I don't know who they called it on A&M. The second free throw is no good. Tied at 77. A&M rebounds, and it's House bringing it up with 5 seconds, and timeout call with 4.1 seconds.
Threes.
Yeah, Labissiere missed that second free throw. Uncontested rebound, and instead of racing up the floor, the Aggies already kind of all looked as a group to the bench, just assuming we're going to timeout here and pass up the possible opportunity to score against a non-set defense.
Daniel House was on that left wing just past half court, kind of eyeing up the defense, figuring out, is he going to attack to the middle? Is he going to attack to the baseline? And then Coach Kennedy asked for a timeout.
So 4.1 seconds standing between us and double overtime here in Aggie land. Tied at 77. Kennedy will stay with Collins, Caruso, House, Davis, and Jones is starting 5. Labissiere, Briscoe, Murray, Hawkins, and Ulis in the small group, with the exception of the 6'11 Labissiere for Kentucky. The Caruso inbounding on the far sideline in the front court. Aggies out of timeouts now. Wildcats have one. 77 all, 4.1 seconds in overtime. And now Calipari will call that final timeout. Now that he's had a good look at what Billy Kennedy initially at least had. One change coming here apparently for Kennedy to get DJ Hogan off the bench, the 6'8 freshman who had 2 threes in the first half. He has 10 points off the bench today, so he's a 34% three-point shooter. An extra possibility for this final play. And that the only change as he comes in for Anthony Collins. One extra big body for Kennedy. Now Caruso set to inbound across to the far sideline, throws into the corner for House. Couple of dribbles, leans in, fires it up, no good. Tipped up and in by Davis at the buzzer. If it counts, A&M wins at the end of overtime. And how appropriate would it be if they win it on an offensive rebound and a putback? The officials come over here to check the replay. The officials wind back the replay. The initial shot by House was off the front of the rim. Tyler Davis, as he has all night, was camped out on the offensive glass and got the rebound and the putback, and it is good. It counts, and the Aggies win it in overtime over Kentucky, 79-77. They will be talking about this one forever among Aggie basketball fans.
20 offensive rebounds, and none more big or none more crucial than the putback there by Tyler Davis to avoid a second overtime and win the game at the buzzer.
20-6 on the offensive glass, 22-11 in second chance points, and the final second chance points of the game, the decisive putback by Tyler Davis at the overtime buzzer to knock off SEC leading number 14 ranked Kentucky. 79-77. When we return, Jason Horwitz rejoins us from our Progressive Insurance Studios with a post-game report. Try Progressive's Name Your Price tool today and find the right coverage for your budget. You're listening to NCAA Basketball on Westwood One.